Hello and welcome back. Week 4 of the King's Court Pokemon Draft League is officially wrapped up, meaning that we are halfway through.
Woo!
Congratulations, everyone.
We made it.
Celebrating this milestone, we're going to look back at the rankings we did at the start of the season and kind of compare with what our thoughts are now that we got a couple weeks under our belt.
I think it'll be a good one. I will say though, there's one match missing. It will not affect the pick'ems, but it will affect the standings. However, we're gonna start off by kind of just seeing what we have already. And one team up here, number 1 spot, not surprising at all. We all saw it coming. The Rillabombas. That guy's got Lando Incarnate and Rain, bro. That thing is terrifying.
Got Archaeolodon, bro. Fuck
Yeah.
Lando Incarnate.
Yo, don't even. That guy's got Sheer Force. That thing is like the best Sheer Force mon ever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely no surprise here. It was unanimously voted to be the number 1 in preseason power rankings, and it has absolutely swept the league ever since, so no real shock with that one.
And somewhat surprising, according to our original rankings, the other weather team is also 4-0, with just a 1-game differential behind, that being Boston
Anything
Arrow.
is possible. Anything is fucking possible, ladies and gentlemen. It's possible.
Bro, you have 2
Your
dragons.
dream can come true. I'm saying.
Hey, I'll admit, I underrated it a little.
Yeah.
But also, in our defense,
Yeah.
there's been like 15 changes to
Like
this.
5,000 changes, more like.
Like, so it's not like it's the exact same team that we underrated. But
There's-
I will
it
give you
is. It is the exact same team.
I'll give you some credit. It was underrated, all right? Hey, well done.
He took it to the workshop, brought it home, and took it back 16 more times, so he was happy with it. So,
Bro heard unlimited preseason transactions. He said that.
bet, say less.
Oh man.
And I mean, there's one more really like prolific team I'd say is defined top 3, and that's Psyduck Psychosis. I think that's one of the better offensive teams out there. Webs have been delivering. Annihilate is the GOAT, and Samurott is not a fraud. You heard it here first. Samurott is currently the runner for the most valuable Pokemon. He is not a fraud.
Yeah, I mean, I made some improvements since draft. I think overall, the team just works slightly better than I hoped it would, which is always a plus. The improvements help. I had stuff like Duosion on there earlier, which is not the greatest Pokemon of all time, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the roster's shaped out.
Sick.
I mean, after that, we're kind of like, it may say 3-1, but don't let it deceive you. These are all close series coming up, like Wigawoop, Suffolk County Shroomish, formerly known as Deer Defenders.
I'll be honest real quick. I am actually surprised Kindo is 3-1. I'll be
I
honest.
agree with you.
Hey, Kindo, if you listen to this, I'll
Shout
say
out,
it.
bro. Shout out. We were wrong.
I was a Kindo hater.
Me
I'll
too.
say-
Tropico's
it.
first round, troll as hell. I still
Yeah,
stand by that.
I agree with that, to be honest. I'm not a big Terapagos fan, especially on this team.
It definitely wasn't Tropico's getting you these wins, bro. It was that Raging
What?
Boltmon.
A Raging Volt is really, really good.
Yeah, like that mon is no fraud. Oh my god.
Kindo's only loss was to me, I believe.
Yeah.
And Cards, what was your only loss? Percentage?
Sky Pillar VIP
That team was
Wait,
crazy
was
too.
my only loss.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Notably, both Wigawoop and Sky Pillar VIP were voted bottom 3 in our preseason power
And they are
rankings.
currently in
Damn.
playoffs.
12
Currently.
and 14. Yeah,
Damn.
currently top 5 in standings. So
Insane.
Holy.
The glow up is, I mean, Sky Pillar VIP did have a glow up as well in the roster department. Switched over to the Iron Boulder Pincurchin route.
Pincurchin Iron Boulder
Crazy pivot.
alongside Iron Moth. Fantastic pickup.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I,
Yeah, most of the top teams actually is just the changes before the preseason.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is crazy how much this dynamic has flipped based off what we're looking at. I mean, the 5th
Oh.
place team is in last. The 7th place team is just about there. Only like Oricorios and Rockruff were there, kind of near projections, right? When it comes to the bottom half. And then the number 2 and 3 projections are currently 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. Which
Yeah,
is
rough starts.
rough
for
start,
sure.
rough start.
Not out of playoffs, notably.
No, I don't think anyone's eliminated yet.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Greedy Gliscors. It's very close. But not quite there.
I would also like to mention that we do have a name change in the number 5 slot. They
Crazy, I already
previously
said
worked
that.
Deer Defenders. My bad.
You're good,
Moving
bro.
on.
You're good, bro. It's all good. He is really like Suffolk County Shroomish. It's okay.
We should talk about them next because that's another team we power rank relatively
really low. Yeah.
Number 10 on the preseason power rankings. But I gotta say, I think a lot of that was just us being stupid because right now when I look at this roster, I
What
gotta
the
say
hell?
it just looks really solid.
When we all saw the Darkrai first round, I kind of thought, yeah, he took the Fraudmon in the first
Yeah,
round.
I'm not a big Darkrai fan. I think it's probably a little too many points. That being said, it's still Darkrai.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's a little overpointed, it still gets it done. It's still a good Pokemon, and the rest of the pieces he has around this team are really good.
I mean, Slowking
he has-
Zapdos is infamously
Yeah.
weak.
The infamous Slowking Zapdos core, which is like a big thing in normal OU. So he's got some really good pieces. I think Sinistcha is maybe one of the best Terra captains, and
Its usage has not reflected it, but it is definitely one of the best ones out there. Every time I see that mon, it just dies, but it certainly has the potential. Registeel, the Iron Wall,
it was
does more work.
pretty annoying in my series. Registeel also is a surprisingly potent Terra captain. I will say.
Called it, by the way. I think the biggest demon on that team, like no joke, it's that Screamtail Pokemon. That thing is obnoxious in what it can do. But
It is, yeah.
honestly, I look at these rosters and I still feel pretty decent about our power rankings. I think a lot of us are flubbing.
I would probably put Suffolk County.
Oh, absolutely. We put
top 5.
yeah, we put some respect on. So let's start from the bottom. What do we think are our bottom teams still? I still
Bottom teams.
listen off rosters. Greedy Gliscor should not be there, but
Yeah, but I
It
might have
is.
to put it like 13 or 12.
yeah, he's down there. It has to be.
Unfortunately, and it pains my heart to say it, the worst team has to be 5 turns in Trick Room. And I don't
No,
know.
man.
I know.
No, it's the truth.
A
I hate
team
to
with
say it.
Dragapult King Gambit on it, you're putting as worst?
There's good mons on every team, man. I don't know.
The problem is he's all in on Trick Room, and as we've seen from the series against Jamark,
yeah.
Ring
if
Protect
there
and it's
was-
cooked.
If there was like a non-Trick Room mode, maybe
might be
would
better.
Be a little better. He's
Yeah.
almost there with like, okay, Dragapult, Gambit, Hatterene, plus like one of your unaware
Like
mons.
Quad-
That's like
Quagsire, yeah.
almost a good balanced team. Ursaluna is like potentially a good wall breaker, and then like you need something else though. I
The
don't
speed
know.
tiers are abysmal for
It's
non-Trick
too
Room.
one-dimensional, and the one dimension is too easy to play around.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't made any swaps. Since he's not having any success with the team so far.
He's all in.
I think he wants to.
Yeah.
For one, I think he just wants to commit to the gimmick.
Oh yeah, wait. His name is never mind.
5 turns in Trick Room.
Yeah,
For
true.
two, I also think there's an aspect where he's like trying to learn how to pilot this thing still.
Mhm.
Which I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll have a mid-season turnaround. Never say never.
True.
You know, at the beginning of the season, you did predict him and I will be playing for the last playoff spot, and it's currently looking like that. So he can swing it around right here. This is the turnaround.
That certainly would be a crazy run. I would have to respect that.
But I would have to agree with you. I think it's the worst team. It's either that or Rockruff Days.
Yeah, Rockruff Days is definitely in like the 13th slot for me. Either way.
I think those two are
I
pretty
mean-
close interchangeable. I think the only thing that gives Rockruff the edge is that it's more flexible as a team.
Yeah, Rockruff has some nice pieces. Like I think Raikou Corbinite is a
Goated.
pretty good core.
I like
yeah.
that.
And I gotta respect anyone who goes for like a funny little trio like that with the triple legendary dogs.
And Ticketon's a really good Terra Captain too. It's a very solid
Yeah,
mon.
yeah, I'm rocking it.
I don't like the Halucha on this team still. But
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. But
Mamoswine's solid. I like the Tauros is whack, but it's there,
Hey.
baby.
I watch his games. Tauros does work, man. No lie.
Bro,
Tauros puts in work.
Poros put in work one game.
literally one game, bro.
Oh,
Calm
bro,
down.
That paranormal body slam is fucking
Dog,
damage,
what
man.
if he just put a Golden Go in front of it?
Okay, not every team has a golden go. Hello.
Okay, but the,
Come on
the
now.
game it went off did. Air Balloon Golden Go walls that thing. Just
All right,
saying.
You click Earthquake, bro. You're done, man.
Air Balloon Golden Go.
Okay,
Earthquake
I'm
is
sure.
doing like 60. at most.
Yeah.
I'm sure it gets a dark type move, like knock off, I don't know, payback. I don't know, something. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
man. It will do a
Knockoff's
lot.
not doing it. Earthquake's doing more than knockoff.
I will say that. Yeah, you're right. I will say that though. I don't like Tank. I had that Mon last season,
I think
so
it's.
I'm kind of negatively biased, but I think that Mon just sucks.
You don't think it's a good
So,
util mon?
I think you
No.
just sucked at using it, truthfully.
I
but
think there are better util Mon. There are better Mons that get rocks and
I think it's
knockoff.
got one of the best typing.
I had that
the
thing
best
season
typing
one,
in
and
the
it was a demon.
That's the only reason it has
Well,
like
yeah, I mean,
any sort of that shit.
I mean, Gigas and
Since I
Hammer
did.
is one of the most powerful stab moves available too. So
yeah. Its attack is nothing to write home about, though.
true, but it does
But
get SD
it's got
access.
a pretty decent, like speed tier, especially for an encore mon. So like, I don't know. I think it's pretty good for 12. I definitely think like compared to.
I like that mon at
Wait.
12.
Yeah, I mean
The
it's
10 Terra is pretty good.
Yeah,
yeah. It's not going to be sweeping any teams, obviously, but
I will say it's kind of weird that he has Fairy and Steel as a stereotypes. It kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion, but it's okay.
A little bit.
yeah, you usually want to be like using a defensive Terra on
Yeah.
that mon. So
But that's okay, you know? We live and we learn. So number 12 then. It would probably be Gliscors. We kind of mentioned that a little bit. I think this team is super solid. I really like it. I don't know what to say other than Coach Gap.
No, wait, let me write this down. Hold on, I don't think we're writing it down anywhere. 14 was what?
14 was Trick Room, 13 was Rockruff, 12 was Gliscors.
Before we fully commit, are we rating just the teams or also the players and the team?
I feel like at this point,
We should
with
consider
how
the
far
players.
we are, we should consider the yeah. I was supposed to. We should consider.
If we're gonna consider the players, honestly, I'll put Gliscors at 14 and move.
Last boy is 14. Yes, I agree.
I would put Gliscor at 14 and move
Yeah,
the other
that's
ones up one.
FFs. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest, just because of the FFs.
The FFs are very discouraging.
also speaking of the team, because I've been helping building with the team, it kind of lacks some potency, like some finishing power, to be honest.
It's really only Arcanine, right?
No,
And I've run
it's
Hitmonlee.
Hitmonlee.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of weeks where Hitmonlee doesn't hit. He lacks some pretty important coverage. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a bad roster on paper. I still definitely think it's solid. I just think, yeah, it can have some struggles finishing out games, which is fine. But I also don't think the coach really has the patience to play long games.
I would
that is
agree.
required by this
This roster absolutely requires a stall game. That's kind of the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
So I would agree with that sentiment. I think that kind of drags it down a bit. And I think Lexus is honestly more committed into his gimmick and learning it. I think it has a better chance of blowing up than Gliscors does. Honestly, I would even say more than Rockruff days, but I think the gimmick's harder is the problem. So that's what makes it 13 for me.
And I would rate it on it right now. So
Yeah.
right now he's 13. If he glows up, then maybe in the next video.
Yeah.
Right,
Maybe
right.
by week 8.
By the time we get
you
to
know,
maybe he's in playoffs by the time we come back to this. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I would love that time.
That would be a great
That would be
timeline.
Fantastic.
He beats Vaughn in week 4 and skyrockets from there. That would be awesome.
Moving on to number 11, I would probably put
Oricorios?
Oricorios here. Yeah.
I would agree. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's the most fair spot.
I like that roster a lot. It was difficult to deal with even when I was playing against it this last week, but bro just loves stacking Skarmory for funsies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what can I say?
I gotta
Oh,
say,
God.
he really lets that mon go a lot.
Like, that thing could be a demon.
Yeah. Skarmory is also the only thing stopping him from getting like 6-0'd by Earthquake.
Yeah.
True.
You really don't want to see that go.
In the core between Val, Cinderace, Glamora, Toxapex, that's like, it's potent. You need a ground type to protect the electric,
Nice.
which is Krookodile, but Krookodile is weak to fighting moves. Which is
Yeah,
like,
it's not that weak though, because you're probably intimidating them. right?
yes, more than likely if you're switching into it. But that requires like a bulkier set too, though, to be able to eat the hit regardless. 'Cause even doing Intimidate, Great Tusk 1 can hit it with close
Plus,
combat.
you're not that scared of fighting types because you have Toxapex, which is
Yeah,
one of
and
the best
Toxapex
fighting
eats
type
it.
answers in the game.
Yeah. I'm a little biased. Toxapex didn't feel
I
that
don't know.
strong.
Toxapex is a lot. It's definitely not what it once was.
I feel like
Unfortunately,
if
thank God.
with the mention of Earthquake, something as well when I was 'cause I helped Jeremy prep for the match against the Oricorios. His team, if you have in particular a slow ground type,
You just beat it.
things can get pretty dicey for him. Simply because when Skarmory comes out on the field and presses Roost, and then predicted, it's just cooked from there. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. Like if
So yeah, I think he definitely needs to make some roster changes in order to alleviate that pain on his team.
this is the
But once he
only
does, I
ground
think
resist.
Yeah,
he's solid.
I think he could be a couple roster changes away from like a really solid one, but right now there's just a few weaknesses.
I'm looking at you, Zoroark. You gotta go.
Yeah. Wow, Zoroark hater.
Imposter mod for real,
Imposter
bro.
mod for real. Not even the imposter Pokemon, bro. This is the fraud.
We're calling Zoroark the fraud. Fraud mod.
Well, it ain't Samurott anymore, so it's gotta be Zoroark.
Oh, bro, we'll see.
I'm curious as to what you guys would say number 10 is then, because this is kind of where I'm at a loss at this point, to be honest. This is.
Can I be honest?
feel like any one of these.
It's triple
teams-
tactics Typhlosion for me.
you think
I
so?
would agree. I would agree with
Yeah.
that, actually.
That
Um,
could be fair. I think Dondozo is a lot harder to use in draft than
Yeah.
it is on ladder.
Because you can just make a solid answer.
it
for
worked. It worked well for him last season, but I feel like the power level of the Mons because of the added DLC overall has risen.
Mhm.
So Dondozo's
Yep.
Dozo's value, there we go, gets lowered because of that, because of the influx of like new powerful Mons that are coming in and just hitting the metagame with immense damage.
I mean,
and
Raging Bolt
stats.
just solos that Mon. If not that whole team,
Yeah.
except for Excadrill, right? Like, it's insane.
It's you got Raging Bull, Latios as well too, a bunch of Mons. But then on top of that, I feel like, especially for returning players, maybe people who have faced him two, seasons in a row now, they've had a lot of time to figure out their way around the Mon as well.
Mhm.
So it's not this giant wall sitting in front of you, and they're kind of trying to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Or how to get around it.
I mean,
So
his
I
offensive
feel like
core
for
is so
those
good.
two reasons, and from what I see as well, he mostly uses it the same way every time, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. It's just
You become predictable.
you're- yeah, exactly. So the more he uses that, the more people will watch the games and figure out, okay, he's just going to do this, so I'll do this, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a big reason why, at least for me, he's down here, because he also has Blissey, which was another one of the same Mons. And then other than that, I personally don't really see any synergy on the team much. Before he had like a kind of, or he still kind of has like a weird rain team with
I don't know what to
Gadget
make of
Fire
that.
on it. But I don't really see the synergy.
Okay. Let me say some things in defense of this team, because personally, I can accept 10 for the ranking. I would probably put it a little higher than that. But I do agree. I think there's a lot of room to be explored here, especially with like Gouging Fire. I don't know if he's brought any of the breaking swipes sets yet.
It's so
I don't
nasty.
think he has. That's a really nasty set, especially against like the more physical teams.
Hi.
Yeah. There is. You said there's no synergy, but like
There's some.
there's some synergy. Like Excadrill Moltres
That's
is a really
good.
nice combo. I do think Excadrill is like not that great for 22 points. It's never going to be sweeping any teams because you have no sand,
Mhm.
and it's
With-
kind of just like a worse Iron Treads.
Yeah.
But that's still a pretty good Pokemon.
Without the sand gimmick, it does feel a
Yeah.
lot worse as a Mon.
And then, Dozo Blissey is still, that's a pretty synergistic core, and
Yeah.
I think Moltres well into that. But offensively, Gouging Fire, Iron Bundle is always going to be a potent combo.
That's true.
So, I think there's some nice pieces there. He's got he's got two nice Terra Captain Sweepers. Maybe, I don't know. It feels weird to have two of them, and Blastoise and Poltergeist. Maybe exchange one of them
For
for
defensive?
a different kind of Terra. I don't know. There's a couple directions you can go with this team,
I mean,
but even
Blastoise
if you,
could be defensive, true though.
yeah, even if you don't make changes, I feel like there's a lot to be explored here. So I'm a pretty big fan of this team. I like it.
Okay.
I mean, any team that has Iron Bundle Gouging Fire is okay in my book.
Well, let's see. Yeah, he definitely has powerful hitters. That's for sure.
I just feel like it's hard to facilitate them with the Mons he has, is my issue. Like, it's hard to get these Mons in safely into bad matchups, which you're going to expect in draft leagues, right? Like, especially with good coverage around the board. Like, something that has a slow pivot is very lacking on that team. I can't think of a single one there, honestly.
Also, in defense of these teams, right? The ones who put 9 and 10, they also have a really good chance of making playoffs. We're not
Yeah.
saying these teams are bad anyway.
No, but
True.
there has to be someone down here regardless, right? Like, it's not like we're disrespect. Someone has to be here. We put fucking
Yes.
Gear Defenders down here. Sorry, Suffolk County Streamers down here before, and now look at them, right? Like, these are arbitrary. Someone has to be here. That being said, Cards, who would you have put at 9? Who would you have put at 10, rather, if it was not this team? I'm curious.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know who I would put here. I guess 10's a fine place for it. The other two teams I'm thinking about, even though it's 3-1, I'm thinking about Wigglewhoop.
I
Real.
I was staring at it, bro. I knew
I'm
you were
also
gonna go
thinking
there.
about Chateau Noir.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can see that.
Let's talk about. I guess you guys want to talk about those two teams next.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Let's
I would
talk-
put those teams in 9 and 8. I would.
Okay. I'm curious what order you guys would put that in.
I'm biased.
I
I put
would-
Whoop at 9.
I would put Whoop at 9 as well.
Okay, let's talk about Whoop first then.
Even though I lost that matchup. for the
Interestingly
record.
enough, despite the spot we're putting them, notably, are 3-1 currently in the standings. So take that as you will.
Mhm.
But I'm curious as to. Well, I kind of get an idea why, but why do you guys think, despite having so much success so far, you would only place it at 9?
If this team didn't have Raging Bolt, I would be infinitely less concerned about it, right? Like, I think that Mon is the backbone. And if you could deal with Wigglewhoop's Raging Bolt, you kind of just eat through him, right? I wasn't prepared for the Grassy Seed Sceptile in our series, and that kind of fucked me over.
That was a good adaptation.
It was. They went hard. But after that, Sceptile did nothing for the rest of it. And no one else has that kind of activation for his Unburden, right? So it's on him, which is a lot harder to facilitate. And the Floatzel Murkrow hard rain dance, that was terrible. I can't even lie. It was
you still lost that game.
I did lose, but it wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of that. It was because of Raging Bolt,
know.
man.
I know, it's just funny to me.
Nate, Raging Bolt is a really, really good
Raging
Pokemon.
Bolt is
I
a
would
demon.
kind of agree that it's put in some work. That and I mean, Lando T is always
Yeah,
gonna be good.
and Jirachi, Serene Grace,
Those
flinching
are-
everything.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
Jirachi is the queen of cheese permanently.
Yeah, those three
for the rest
mons
of the
just
time.
make it so hard
So-
to deal with. I think that's what's part of the success. It's just
Yeah,
hard to
when I
plan
look
for.
at the roster outside of those three mons, it doesn't look very great to me. Even Blaziken
Yeah.
feels just kind of whatever when you know it's coming. I don't know, but those three mons in particular definitely elevate it to a good amount, and I would say definitely have pushed it into the success that it's seen so far.
Mhm.
So I am curious to see where this lands. Probably, he's definitely on pace to make playoffs here.
Mainly needs to
As
win
long
2
as-
to
I
lock.
think he makes
Yeah.
playoffs, but I think he makes playoffs within the 8 through 6 slot, in my opinion.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I
Yeah.
feel like people are
We'll see.
like slowly starting to realize that Raging Bolt is a bit of a menace. So maybe
So-
they become a little more prepared.
What do you think of Jamark between these two teams? Where would you?
Between the two, I mean, I would probably put Wigglewhoop at 9 and Chateau Noir at 8. I think one thing about Wigglewhoop that we're kind of underrating, even with the Fraudmon that he first picked, I think people are underestimating how much in like guaranteed stealth racks on a tanky mon who can actually hit stuff,
True.
at least before he goes down, is actually putting in work. I think
Yeah.
at least the start of every match that he plays,
Yeah.
which might be considered like adding
Also,
sense, I think.
A very reliable spinner. I feel like it's
Extremely,
hard pressed to try and pressure this thing.
Unless you have a ghost type that can just.
Yeah,
When
easy
I-
to spin block.
Yeah.
I don't honestly. I when I played him, because again I'm his only loss. I don't remember exactly what happened, to be honest with you, or even like how I deal with the mons. The game's a total blank to me. I'm not gonna be honest, but I feel like, or I'm gonna be honest, but I feel like against Terapagos, you just status it and then
It's useless.
it kind of does nothing. Yeah, like that's my opinion, at least of the mon.
I'm pretty sure I burnt it
Oh.
with my drift limb and just killed it after that because it was fodder.
Yeah, it does nothing after that, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with the mon. That's why I think it's a fraud mon.
So once the ability is broken, it's pretty terrible, honestly.
I think if he finds a way to get like rocks and like aura spinner on another like Pokemon or two, and then drops Terapagos for a mon like Zamazenta.
I mean,
or
Lando
Zamazenta.
has.
Yeah, he does
Oh yeah, Lando. Yeah.
technically have I mean, rocks on Lando are great. He does technically also have another spinner in Graveler. I wouldn't really
Whoa.
qualify
Yeah,
that.
Whoa.
Yo,
Yeah.
drop that Mon, young man.
Yeah, I
If
don't-
this guy
I don't
had-
know what Graveler's
If this
doing.
guy had Zamazenta, I'd probably be crying in a corner. That mon
Yeah, I
is so
think
disgusting.
That sounds nasty on this
I
team.
used it
Like,
last
honestly.
season. That mon is so disgusting, man.
I will
Zamazenta
say.
could-
Oh, go ahead, finish
Hey,
it.
you would maybe have a bit of a fairy weakness,
You
but
would.
hey, yeah, I believe in you to figure it out.
Hey, you can get through it, guys. I got third place with a glaring fairy weakness. You can get through it.
I do want to mention that I think Sceptile is low-key a really good Terra captain.
Yeah.
Regardless of the seed, or like unburdened like sets or whatever. Well, I think you would want to run unburdened somehow. You would want to proc it, but
Well, yeah.
I think that thing it's pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a cool mon. I've got a bias. I love Sceptile growing up, but I think I just find it really cool. I don't know. I kind of like it on this team, so
It has a purpose.
that's cool. Yeah.
I think its Terra Captains are very potent. I have no problem with those. It's the 2 shit mons below it and this Terrapagos mon.
Yeah, some standout pieces of this roster. I guess moving on to what would be our 8th pick then, Chateau Noir, notably pretty highly ranked on the preseason power rankings, but
How far we
struggling to actually that translate to game wins. What do you? I mean, maybe I could go to the trainer himself first. What do you think went wrong at the start of the season so
You know,
far?
what went wrong is first series, I kind of just got cooked, honestly. I was not prepared. I didn't know how to use my team properly. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to run hyper offense every week and nothing bad's going to happen. Guys, something bad
No.
happened. People figured out how to beat it by shooting their win cons faster. And that's like something I was not prepared for. I kind of was very one-dimensional with my sets, didn't know what I was doing. And as the weeks evolved, like this series against Vaughn, it felt really good. And then all of a sudden it didn't. Like I'm struggling with momentum. I've changed my roster a lot. Not so much as Boss Merrill, because he had much more unlimited usage than me. I'm almost out of points. But I'm struggling to deal with my
It's a
weaknesses.
very different roster.
That's the problem.
From the start of the season.
It is. I think the biggest problem is it's so hard for me to address my flying ice issues. It's really hard.
I think you got the potential, for sure. And it's not like ice. I think is a pretty common offensive type in the metagame.
Flying
As
is not.
flying is not. So that's
Yeah.
not something that you totally have to worry about.
That's what lost me my
Oh,
series
yeah.
against Vaughn though. Like I would have won that first game if it wasn't for Brave Bird
Vaughn-
Quackable.
One being the coach of Moth Gang.
Yeah,
obviously.
Moth Gang, Quackable,
Well,
Brave
well,
Bird Scarf absolutely swept my ass. I didn't have an answer.
But I honestly feel as though maybe you. I mean, does Knucklestack not just answer like every flying, like?
Yeah,
Oh,
Knucklestack
that's it.
eats flying,
Kind
but
of.
then they have coverage.
I mean, Knucklestack is also a flawed Pokemon.
Yeah.
To be fair, you know, there's like other counterplay around Knucklestack. Any covert cloaks, knocking it off
Mhm.
is terrible for it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff like that. It gets hit by every hazard, except T-Specs, I suppose.
Yeah.
But,
Honestly, I know that you looking at the roster. I know that it looks good, but I think in practice, so far, I don't really like the Grimmsnarl on your roster. I'm not gonna lie. I think if you were to forego it for something else, possibly, I think you could find more success with that.
That's a crazy thought.
With a different mod.
I think
But, yeah.
Grimmsnarl, it is one of the best HO mons in the game, and obviously this team loves to run HO. But it also adds, it's not like a complete one-dimensional thing, because it's also one of the best stall breakers in the game.
Yeah.
Taunt sets, parting shot sets, bulk up sets aren't really a thing when you're dealing with this kind of power level.
Oh, Spirit Break. Oh yeah.
That's more of a funny thought, but taunt parting shot sets in particular are going to be really great. You have great anti-offense tools like Thunderwave.
Yeah.
So I think Grimmsnarl is adaptable enough to justify having a roster slot, especially when you're going to be running Sneasler HO a good amount of the time, and which is where it really thrives, putting up
Mhm.
screens.
Putting up screens, parting shut out safely to get Sneasler in, or Rillaboom in, and then you can turn into Sneasler, right? Like, it is disgusting in that function.
feel like if grass is, I don't know. I just feel like if grass surge is on, like you don't need. I guess it's safer, but yeah, I feel like you don't need it to.
Infinite
You do
saver.
need the +2 to sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much any defensive, any
wall.
kind of defensive mon at all. Yeah. So, and Sneasler is certainly not the tankiest mon in the world. Even with the Grassy Seed defense bonus,
It will die.
it O-code a lot.
A light
So-
breeze will kill it.
Or maybe not O-code, but now it's in Rocky Helmet range.
Yep,
or
and then
something
you
like
just
that.
lose anyway, right? Like it's
Mhm.
a lot harder to pull off hyper offense in draft leagues than I thought it was. I think that's the biggest contributor to this low ranking, in my opinion. Because I can't find success, because I can't pull off hyper offense well enough.
All right. Well, I think that about sums up some
Yeah.
of the issues with this team. Moving on to number 7. I think this is where I would probably slot in Moth Gang.
I was going to see Moth Gang and Sky Pillar, in my opinion.
I think Moth Gang for sure.
I
Skypillar has
think
that
you have to give
up.
Skypillar the edge,
Yeah.
just because of both their records. They're not too different. I think it's 2 and 2 versus 1 and 3.
1 and 2 right,
Right.
now. You haven't played the other
Oh
game?
yes, 1 and 2.
Yeah, he
Moth
hasn't
Gang
played
has
this
not played their 4th match. But I definitely I've been helping out some of the prep with Moth Gang for the past 2 weeks, and I'm starting to see how some of the pieces come together in a pretty nice way, to be honest. Salazzle is a great mon, and Iron Treads is honestly maybe one of the best mons to have in your toolbox. It's a fantastic spinner. It matches up well into a lot of mons.
It has dual coverage for special and physical.
Yeah, very versatile like that. Latios, kind of a question mark for me.
I miss Mew.
Yeah, I do miss
agree.
Mew, but Latios has more like raw power, so I understand it. I also just know that he has two of the best sweepers in the league. One of the best Terra captains in Frostmoth, and one of the best high point sweepers in Kyurem, which can just instantly.
Win the game.
They're two sweepers that can instantly win you the game in one turn
Yep.
if you give them.
You're a problem on, bro. Jesus, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
And he did lose Mew, but this is still one of the most versatile rosters in the game.
Yeah.
So I think obviously an 0-2 start is not where you want to be, but I think there's a good chance that we will be seeing it come playoffs.
I would agree. I think it's a very high potential.
Taking coaches into account, low-key thinking about it, if not for the recent win, I would definitely
If that
put-
series went a different way, yeah.
I would swap Moth Gang and Chateau Noir, especially because I happen to be spectating the match from Moth Gang's perspective and hearing comments during the game, and Moth Gang's coach is not in the greatest mental state when it comes to Pokemon at the moment. But I think he's still got the tools. He just needs to lock in.
Lock in, young
you saying,
man.
Gotta
yeah,
lock
He
in.
needs to lock in, bro. He has to. And I think he's playoff bound. I think he'll lose, to be honest. I can for sure see him make playoffs in 6 through 8. But yeah, he just gotta get the mental check.
Gotta lock in.
Gotta lock in. He did notably have maybe the hardest one too, playing two
Double
teams we have
weather.
not talked about yet. The
Yeah.
double weather team. Rillabombas into Boss Meryl, which I would probably say is the hardest week 1, week 2.
Yeah, I would agree.
But
Yeah.
maybe he can bounce back from that and still come back in time for playoffs.
So what do we think is number 6 then?
For 6, I'm trying to see who we haven't talked about
So
yet.
we haven't talked about Suffolk County Shroomish, Skypillar VIP, Boss Meryl, Psyduck Psychosis, Powtown Mafia, and Rillabombas. I think it's Powtown Mafia.
It's between Palatown and Suffolk County Shroomish for me. Or
Would-
Skypillar, sorry.
I would probably put Pallet Town Mafia at 6.
I think Jamark, not trying to stroke your ear, but I think you're one of the best coaches in the league. But I think your roster is also not one of the greatest. I think it's strong. I think it does your roster really well, and it fits your playstyle incredibly. But if you could break stall and find an answer to Meowscarada, I think it's a lot, or Latios, I think it's a lot weaker comparatively to some of the higher rosters that are much easier to execute, much more consistent.
there's just not much I'm worried about on this team, to be honest. It's Latios and Mouscarada and maybe Heatran and Garg, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
I feel like you got to keep the Torterra.
You gotta keep it in mind, but as long as you have an
Yeah.
answer to beat a Shell Smash Torterra, that's like the worst case
that's
scenario.
fair. But I just feel like some of the rest of the team lacks some potency.
It's a stall team is what it feels like.
It's a stall team. There's no spin blocker on this kind of stall team, which feels a little weird to me.
I mean, Terra Ghost Crocolore is the answer to that.
Yeah, potentially. I'm also just not the biggest Crocolore fan in the book, but
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
You know what?
Yeah,
I'm on your boat
that-
cards. It just sits there, bro. It just sits there.
Nah, Jamark, like they don't get it, bro. It's like
Maybe I
usually
just
got
don't
fire in
understand.
a match against Holmesy, but okay, sure.
Hey, I'm not saying it's useless. I'm just saying it's a pretty exploitable mod. Is all I'm saying.
It's like little bro knuckle stack. Could be exploited pretty well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you guys are saying, I completely feel it. Like when I'm playing it, I feel like I'm missing like that one big hitter that I need
Yeah.
every week. Like Latios hits hard, but just not hard enough most of the time. That's what I'm noticing.
hmm
So we'll see as the weeks develop. Maybe I bring Torterra more. Maybe I play a more hyper offense version of this team somehow. I don't know.
I'm curious
not,
how you manage that.
I'm not I guess asking for any details or anything, obviously, because someone from the league does listen. Well, actually, this is coming out way after. but-
I'm literally your opponent this week.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, are you thinking about making any potential changes to the team before, like playoff comes or anything? Do you have anything in mind?
This team?
Yeah.
Maybe
Just out
I
of curiosity.
drop. I'm thinking about dropping Cyclizar
Yeah, I can see that.
for a different spinner, maybe a spin blocker. Because
Yeah.
Weezing Valor kind of does what I need it to do every single time I need to bring it.
I can see
So
that.
we'll see.
Their
Weezing-
generator core is cute, but
Is one of the most reliable defoggers. So even goes through Gold and Go.
it's crazy.
But,
Sure.
He's super reliable, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think because you have using in that defogger slot, and I know you love your status. You'll pretty much be bringing him almost every chance you get. So dropping Cyclizar for something else, yeah, I could for sure see that.
Still important to note, it is still ranked number 6.
Yeah.
We've been talking nonstop about the flaws of this team.
It is
but, you know,
potent. It's
this
hard to
is-
deal with
this is-
stall.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really, really good pieces here. Alomomola, I think, is one of the best valued mons in the
Agreed.
league.
Bang.
Garganackle is a very, very good mon.
For 15
Bigger.
points, it got reduced in points comparatively too. It is a really
Yeah.
solid amount for what it is.
Yeah, got buffed from last season.
Yeah, it is really good.
And, I just went on a rant about how I don't like Crocolore, but it is,
It's a value mon.
it is, like, pretty good for 7 points.
And Torterra is one of the better
It's a
Terra captains.
It's a 7-point unaware mod. Think
Yeah,
about
Yeah.
it's hard to beat.
And then,
Yeah.
lastly, I think Heatran is an amazing Pokemon.
Yep.
So I think this roster is definitely very solid. Again, there's no like super obvious flaw with it. I think, yeah, there's just a few ways to try and go around it,
Mm-hmm.
but still a very good roster.
I'd agree. I think 5, it's gonna be Sky Pillar.
Yeah, I would
I
have
would
to
agree.
put Sky Pillar next. I couldn't see myself putting it above.
It's either that
The other
or Suffolk
left.
County, and I think it's Sky Pillar clearly.
I would
I think
definitely
it's Sky Pillar because taking into account of coaches, my boy Temple, he still got a lot of like room to like learn and grow as like a competitive Pokemon player, in my opinion. He dipped his toes in last season. It's the first time he ever took it. I guess like any type of like team building or anything like that. First time doing it. And this season he's got a much better team. And he, I talked to him about his team. I don't help him
He's gonna
build or
update
anything
really quick.
like that.
Sorry.
What's up?
There's a mon missing from here.
Okay.
It's
No worries.
it's a 4-point rap skipper. It's not gonna make or break your opinion, but
Fair enough. But I don't help him prep or anything, but I do talk to him about his team and I give him suggestions, stuff like that. But I think he's a bit predictable in the sense that he brings. So if he can figure out how to bring that surprise element and everything to a match and really work his way around difficult things that he might encounter instead of trying to brute force his way through it, I think that he will be in a fantastic spot in the league, and I think he for sure will make playoffs, even though he's in 8th right now. If he keeps going, I think he'll be fine. He keeps going at the rate he's going, but he has the potential to go even higher. I would probably place his team, if I'm looking at ending standings, probably between 6-3 is what I would put it at, essentially, if he really locks in.
Yeah, I think he's got some fantastic cores here. Very different ones too, with the electric terrain, double paradox Pokemon, and then the Ninetales Bax Caliber.
Yeah.
Always going to be
classic.
trending.
Tingle and Slauson them both very well.
Yeah, for sure. I think we gotta also give a big shout out. This is by far the highest jump from preseason power
Easily.
ranking.
Oh,
Ranked
yeah.
all the way at 14th, jumping up 11 slots. Or sorry, this is 5, right? 10 slots. I was thinking it was 4 for some reason. But yes, 10 whole slots all the way to number 5. There is some big improvements, notably Pincurchin and Boulder, but still gotta give a big shout out. Obviously been playing above expectations, so fantastic work. New Temple.
Oh yeah, gotta give him his flowers, bro.
Absolutely.
Dude put in work. Can't lie.
So that
Alright,
leaves us at
moving on to number 4. I think we would probably
Across
agree
the
that
board.
it's Suffolk County
yeah,
Skirmish.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, again, as previously mentioned, another huge jump from preseason power rankings. Notably, not that many changes made to the roster itself, though.
I don't think it's only Tatsugiri is the new addition, and I haven't seen that mom once, right? Like the core of
Yeah.
the roster is there.
Largely irrelevant. I think there's a couple reasons. Darkrai was better than expected. Registeel
Registeel
was
is really impressed.
way better than I expected. Almost nothing out of that mon, but it's put in a lot of work. Very important piece of that team. And frankly, I just think it was pretty underrated in general. I think that was a pretty big mistake from us.
Where did
Absolutely.
we have it before? We
About
had it
10.
at. Whew, okay, damn.
Yeah, we had it pretty
Yeah.
low.
Did he make any roster changes? Oh,
Nothing that
trade?
matters.
Not really. No.
Nothing that matters.
None that matters.
Damn.
The large majority of the team is the same going in.
I mean,
Currently
we've
3-1.
We've touched on it a little bit in the beginning. Like the core functions really well. It's hard to deal with, despite seeing it coming. It's like Regieleki is the best speed tier mon in the game. I haven't seen it that much, but it is.
Zapdos is just such a hard Pokemon to answer. I
Yeah.
think even when you know it's coming, you can't just like counter it with one mon.
No, you have to have multiple answers.
You have to have like a solid game plan going into it on how you're gonna not let this mon run your team over.
Yeah,
And even then,
it still does.
You usually, yeah, it
You
can't
get
just
Hurricane
do that.
confused.
You can Hurricane hacks its way through stuff. It
Yep.
can paralyze you. If there's multiple sets it can run, like defensive T-Wave or other similar sets. I'm losing track of what that could be off the top of my head. But the point is, the mon's really hard to prep for, especially when it's working with a Slowking
And a
Galar,
Garchomp.
the Garchomp. Yeah, it's
And a Garchomp, yeah.
gonna be really hard to break through that kind of core. They work very, very, very well with each other. So I'm just a big fan of this team in general.
I'm taking notes for next season, but I agree. I think this roster was horribly underrated, and apologies for that, Mystic. We kind of missed that one. But that leaves 3: the 2 weather guys.
Hey, let
and
me.
the sticky
if-
web guy.
If I might here, me being the coach of the Boston Merrills, I would honestly put myself here at 3, even though I am currently undefeated in the league. Reason for it being, obviously, because we're taking coaches into account. I think if we were just doing it off teams, I'd put myself number 2. But taking coaches into account, I would put myself here at 3, simply because I think I haven't tapped into the full potential of the team yet, in regards to what I can really do, and knowing like my limits with the team and exploring. Like I haven't brought Clef in, a hot minute, even though it's a fantastic mon,
Since
and I'm
week
sure I
1.
could have brought it. Yeah, I'm sure I could have brought it in multiple games and everything. And then I remember also in the very beginning, I had Jamaarkques helping me out with some team building, and we schemed up a couple of different kind of rosters that I could have gone with, but I've really only gone with one type of roster out of the 3 that we had made originally that I can still pull off. But I've really only been sticking with one thing. So I think there's a lot for me to still explore and see what works and what's working. Don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm undefeated. But what's working is currently fantastic. But I feel like I need to be able to adapt more mid-series, or if something really bad goes wrong, or come in with like a new fresh angle and game plan that people are not expecting. I don't predict myself to go undefeated for the rest of the season. I think that I will drop at least 1 or 2 games depending on my schedule, but I'm being a humble boss here and I will put myself at 3.
I would say you're the worst of the 2 other teams, even though they're both very, very
I would
potent.
agree. I would agree with that as well.
I think we'd all agree with that, yeah.
But I'm not sold on putting you at 3. I think you and Cards have very comparable rosters in terms of raw strength. I would put you at 2 strictly because of goddamn Ogre Pawn, bro. That Mon is a demon.
Ogre Pawn is such a good pawn.
Ogre Pawn plus double unaware walls, like that is a demonic.
I agree. Especially with the recent Fortress pickup, I think that
It's
definitely
hard, dude.
solidifies its number 2 spot.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's
All
hard.
right, then I got outvoted on my own spot.
You
Crazy.
did.
All
You
right.
did. So
Okay.
what makes us? I guess let's talk about side X a little bit. I don't want to just brush over it and say that Boss
Yeah,
Meryl's
I feel
better.
like we should just keep talking about Boss Meryl.
Yeah,
while
let's
we're
talk
on
about Boss
the
Meryl
subject.
and we'll go back.
Okay.
We'll go back to it.
Sure.
Fucking hell, dude.
I do want to note that this team looks completely fucking different.
It is not the same as
than
the
what it
beginning.
started out as.
Yeah.
While
was
maybe
like-
a glow up in the standings, it's
There's-
not because we just ignored it. It's because this dude changed the roster so goddamn much.
What, like 4 Pokemon that were on the roster in preseason?
Yeah.
to give
Wake.
some context,
Wake, Ogerpon, Rotom, and
to give some
Torkoal.
context as to the pickup situation. Originally, we had like 1 or 2 days after the draft for people to solidify their rosters so that you'd have a day or 2 of unlimited trades. People to like ponder their rosters, make any last minute changes, any trades, stuff like that. We have 3 TOs, but the 2 of them being here, and Jeremy and Jamark, brought it up and said that we should extend it to the week until the first week. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Little did I know that I would take full advantage of that shit and just absolutely abuse it. I'll say abuse, honestly, because I went
You did.
through, we were counting at least 16 different roster changes,
Yeah.
different Mons.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. I was picking up Mons I never thought of using ever. I had a Victory Bell in there. So
Now you got
crazy.
Weeping Bell.
Now I got, okay, well, yeah.
Now you remember.
but yeah, it's something. It's crazy. But yeah, as so much before, I have 4 original Mons, which were Wake, Ogre Pawn, Torkoal,
And he.
and Heat. That's it. Yeah, that's honestly crazy. I didn't even have Moon in there. I didn't have Clef, not Claude, and some of these Pokemon have become extremely value members.
I mean, Roaring Mid's showing his power. Honestly, I was a big fan of that
Mid-
pickup.
Roaring Mid.
That's the nickname for him, Roaring Mid. He is a versatile Mon that can really do whatever you need it to. I am a big fan of it. I think it fits really well in a Sun team. We don't have to booster it. It's potent.
Yeah.
It's a potent team. That's hard to deny. Even the walls will shit on you. Like Clodsire will Toxic Stall you. Clef will just sit there and Combine Moonblast your ass. Like it's hard to deal with. Moonlight and Sun, 2/3 HP. He didn't know that, by the way.
Crazy.
It's crazy. This
I
guy didn't
also
even get the
wanna-
full potential.
I also want to make note that one of my Terra captains in Fortress, I don't even really want a Terra ever, simply because
He only has one
It-
Terra Captain, guys. It's Charizard.
in Fortress on a Sun team, something I did not think about. I'd never thought about. Thank you, Mr. Carter, for throwing a suggestion out. Is that Fortress is only weak to 1 type? That's fire. And on a Sun team, you got 1 billion fire resist, man. So Fortress slots right in there, and I needed a spinner, but the team was obviously weak to rocks. Fortress, does that really well. Doesn't care about poison. I don't even need to throw beats on it. You know, it's fantastic mon. It hits like a truck, low-key,
It
too,
does. I mean-
with like minimal investment. So yeah,
I mean,
I've been really
Jamaarkques
enjoying
goes
it.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And the
So it
team,
gets full switch too, right?
yeah, it does. It does. I couldn't run it this week, but it does get full switch paint split as well. But even more importantly, honestly, and this is shocking coming from me, if you know me, then the power of the team, it's been so damn fun, man. Like really and truly, the team has been so fun, and it makes me want to run like a weather team like every fucking season. All little like quirky little things that I can like think of to do with the mons,
Guys,
And
Sparkles
I'll
will
have
be a
so much
first pick next season.
and so much fun team building. You know, like thinking about like chlorophyll, like all these other interactions with the protomons. It's been a blast. Like if any season was the season, or generation rather, to run a sun team, it's for sure this one with all the insane protomons. You can run a sun team and have almost no fire. You don't have to have any fire type total, to be honest, on a sun team nowadays. So, yeah, insane. Also, yeah, shout out Ogre Pawn. Go on.
Go, man.
All right.
All right.
I feel like we've really,
You've hit the nail on the head.
hit the nail on the head with our number 2 spot of Boston Morale. So I guess we'll circle back for a little bit to talk about our number 3 team, that being Psyduck Psychosis.
Put them in your mouth, young man.
Put them in your mouth. So, yeah, I mean,
No
I-
Diddy.
No Diddy.
The core of this team is really built around Arachnoid and Sticky Webs. I feel like the team and the speed tiers are built pretty heavily around that. Pretty middling speed tiers, middle of the pack, but again, takes advantage of things like Sticky Web to try and circumvent that. Also doubles down on that by having Samurott, one of the best offensive tempo tools in the game, laying spikes, applying a lot of pressure. It works very offensively well with Annihilate. Those two complement each other very well.
A beautiful core.
And Annihilate is by far one of the best spin blockers in the game, which complements that spike sticky web gameplay very, very well. Which all comes together to form what I feel like is a pretty cohesive game plan, but still has a lot of tools at its disposal, a lot of different levers to pull, which is how I love to play draft. It's even some pretty solid bottom tier Pokemon. I think
Go-Goat.
Yeah, I think Go-Goat is very underrated. I think Muckalola is also fantastic. Piloswine even surprises me, especially last week. So I think there's a lot of very standout points on this team. Very cohesive roster, I want to say.
It is.
And it has sorry to cut you off there, Jeremy, but it has room to be even greater, because I know you're thinking about trading away one of the mons in Superior, picking up another decent midpoint like mon in for 14 points, and that could really since you haven't brought it once or really found like a
slot
too
for
good of a spot for it on the team to bring to a match so far. You could find something for 14 or less points. That could really do something with that. To better the team in whatever way you decide. So there's that too. What were you saying before, Jeremy? I'm sorry I cut you off there.
You're okay. I think Metagross and Volcarona are like super standout Pokemon on this team, because Volcarona is a nasty, nasty threat, especially under webs. You don't even need the Quiver Dance realistically, right? Like, and there's a Flame Body Mon. I don't know if it's actually bulky. I don't know its stats offhand, but
It's very specially bulky.
like that's okay. It's not as good as a Flame Body, but it's still something to be considered. And
It is, I will say, surprisingly physically bulky, because you really only need to invest a little bit in speed, and you don't really need to invest in special attack at all.
because you're quivering.
So you can afford to be like max defense,
Yeah.
heavy HP investment. So
And
it
that's a
ends up
nasty
making it
set.
pretty physically bulky.
And Metagross is one of the best Sticky Web Mons out there, in my opinion. That thing will go to town if you are reduced speed. And it's hard to eat its coverage. It has Steel Psychic typing, which is epic, honestly. Epic as hell.
I didn't think that you talking about Volcarona's stats and EVing it. I never really thought about that. The fact that well, one, you're the only sticky web team in the league, I believe, and then 2, you don't have to invest as much in speed on your roster, and you can put those points in bulk or another maybe mixed or whatever for your Pokemon stats, because you have to stick you up in the field and you have a pretty good plan to keep them up and annihilate as well. So I didn't think about that before. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty underutilized aspect of webs. Obviously, you gotta be a little careful, especially with how good boots are. Very spammable. But speaking of boots, there's a lot of knockoffs on my team. Just off the top of my head,
Muck meta.
1, 2, 3, 4, at least. A lot of them are really good at spamming that button over and over again, notably Muck. So, there's a slight boots weakness there, but again, there's still a lot of avenues to still break through.
Yeah, I really like this team. I think it's debatable too, but I think weather is just so prolific. And it's really come to fruition this season, seeing the 2 weather teams on top.
I think weather has a lot of raw strength, and I think maybe not simplicity is the right word, but having a
Ease
more
of access.
straightforward
You know what you're
game
gonna do.
plan. It is honestly a bit of a strength. Something that's simple yet hard to deal with. Means that it's hard to find an answer for it in prep, but it's also takes some of the ease off the coach running the team. So I think that is also something that gives a slight boost to weather team.
I would agree. Speaking of weather teams, that
Yeah.
means Rillabombas maintains the #1 crown.
Our unanimous, I believe unanimous, #1 vote.
Yeah, it was not used.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, this roster really only has 9 Pokemon. Tropius isn't actually there.
Yeah,
And it's still the best.
Archalon in Rain. Honestly, you don't even need to say much more past
No,
that.
I mean, Archalon, Rain, and Landorus Sheer Force.
Yeah.
That's...
Landorus.
Basculegion and Rain.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, he has a fantastic Rain Pokemon. Tornadus and Amoonguss and Basculegion, some of the best Rain abusers out there, even if they're not, some of them aren't direct water types, But I think this roster has really high highs and it's rounded out very well. Donphan is a fantastic Pokemon.
Snorlax is a
does
great
pretty
wall.
much everything it needs to. Yeah, Snorlax is a great Pokemon, especially since you need some of that special bulk.
Comfey is a really good Terra Captain too, honestly. I don't know how often he's actually brought it.
I was gonna say on a rain team, I don't know why you'd ever bring Comfey over Basculegion, to be honest, but the option's there.
I think it has some value in specific matchups that really need the fairy typing, but
I just sit down and look at this team, and I struggle to see any weaknesses, and I also struggle to really picture how I'm going to beat it.
I'm so glad I do not play this guy in the regular season. Real.
Same here.
So real.
Luckily for you, you have a slower Weathermon, so you technically have a way to beat it. Right?
You do.
That's
you
true. That's true. It would be really cool to see a weather war between the 2 of us in playoffs. Hopefully at the finals.
Nah, first round.
First round. I did have a weather war a little bit with Skypiller VIP, but he didn't bring it the first game, and it was kind of dicey. He didn't know, how it works, especially because with Ninetales in particular, it really only has really one job, and it can't do that exactly. It can't do that if I'm playing correctly. But with Pelipper does not care. It can just flip turn out. It has a pivot move over Torkoal, which is something notable. So if Pelipper's in, I bring Torkoal out, it flip turns, yada yada, to another pivot mon on Tornadus, for example. Then he turns back out to Pelipper, and then it
The cycle
continues.
continues.
Yes, exactly. And Regenerate on top of that all. God damn, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he obviously has the regenerative core, obviously, in Amoonguss as well. And Tornadus, fantastic coverage for everything. It's
Really everything.
You can't run toxic spam. It doesn't really care about Will-O-Wisp. Thunderwave could potentially hurt this team, but then it has 2
Landorus
ground
on
types.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got all the bases covered. You know, it's there, man. It's a great team, honestly. Newcomer to the league as well. I want to say, and they cinched the #1 spot. I don't know.
It's an impressive run, Josh. Impressive.
Never
run.
smashed Josh that well, or their competitive history, but yeah, pleasantly surprised. Can't lie. And expected with the results.
Yeah.
At least running week by week.
It's very much kind of what we had pegged on our sheets at the beginning of the season. At least one of us is holding up to our potential. That being said, every week we can make the predictions.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're really close. So currently, not counting Firelights and Lexus match, which hasn't been played yet, but we all picked the same winner. Spoiler, it was Vaughn.
Bills.
We're really close in predictions. So in last place, it's Cards. 14 and 13 with a 10 correct score bonus.
And he kept hating on Boss Merrill.
He
Why,
did.
man?
He kept praying on Boss Merrill's downfall. That's 3 games you're down on me because of that. And then tied at, well, technically not tied. Davin, you are in 3rd because you're 16 and 11 with a 9-point bonus. You are the lowest of the correct scores
Got you.
by 1 point. Big. Jamaarkques is also 16 and 11, but he has a 10-point bonus. And then I am 17 and 10 with a 10-point bonus. Like we're pretty good at our pick'ems, guys. We're pretty good. Feels like our expectations are being met. A big one that screwed up a lot of us. Sorry, guys, it was me. Until week 3, you guys all picked me, and I let you down. So.
Hey, yo, beat week 5, bro. Got you, man.
Hey, thank you, bro. Someone's got my back.
Mark, I'm sorry.
Buddy hero.
Yeah.
Mark, I'm sorry. You know.
Listen, I'm just saying, week 4, you guys all have my back. It's okay. I got a win column. You believed in me. The momentum's there. But I'm very excited for the rest of the season. I think there's a lot of shenanigans that are going to happen in these standings. Like, when I look at this, I think at least 2 of these teams in the top 8 are not making the playoffs.
I would agree. If we had to pick a real quick, to pick a final standings prediction, what would be
one.
What do we pick here? Okay, yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of go from the bottom down.
Sorry,
but
that one's happening. I can't. I'm sorry. That's happening.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Rillabomb,
Top down then.
Rillabomb is rider over here, but it's okay. Not joking.
I'll ride that train all day, bro. It's happening.
Oh, it's crazy. But all right, we have Rillabomb is at 1, or we already started at 1, so fuck it, we're way down. Rillabomb is at 1. What do we think? Who would end up number 2 potentially?
Looking at strength of schedule.
It's hard to not say Boss Merrill.
That's fine. That's fine.
Look at strength of schedule. I
Cards
think it
has
is
a pretty
possible.
tough matchup.
Yeah.
In like week
So
8.
Cards has to play both weather teams 7-8, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Boss Merrill at number 2.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave Boss Man for 2.
Um.
Oh, you play Rillabombas as well, Cards?
Yeah, he plays you guys
Yeah.
back to back.
I
Like,
do. Which is why I might actually put Suffolk County.
no, he plays them
next to
5-6,
3.
bro. He puts them 5-6. He
Oh.
plays them 5-6.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Who put these matchups all in a row? I feel like it's
Sick
always
bastard.
one week into another.
Sick
Like
bastard.
the weather gauntlet. I don't know, man.
Vaughn had it, and then Temp had it back to back. like
And now
you
now
this is
Mystics gonna
crazy.
have it in the Cards having
Oh wait,
it.
I have it back to back. I have it week.
You do too.
Who made
Damn,
this
bro.
schedule?
Who did this? Who did this?
That's crazy.
Which
How did-
Yo,
demon was
That
once
would be
to see
so
the
funny.
world burn?
It'd be so funny if you guys did the what Vaughn did, and you just pick up Golduck for like a week.
Yeah, we just passed around all bro.
That'd be so funny.
The weeks
man.
overlap, guys. Someone has to hold on to
Wow.
it for too long.
That's
Card,
crazy.
hey, note though, Cards does have Altaria. Cloud9 is
I
there.
do have a Cloud9 Pokemon. Hey,
Fair.
maybe hey, I'll give myself the bump at 3 then.
I was gonna
Psychic
agree.
Psychosis.
I think it's you. I think
think
Shroomish
it's
is
you.
4.
I would agree. Streamish of 4.
What were you saying, Jamart?
No, I'm agreeing. I would put him as
Okay, I got you.
So for the top
Shroomish
4
is
in,
4.
this is where it gets spicy. That's why I wanted the top
Uh,
down, because this is the spicy part.
5, I would lock Palatown Malphia probably.
Yeah, I probably am gonna make a few changes, so I will see maybe some changes to how I play the team too. And also prepping. I haven't done a
Can I
lot
be
of prepping
honest?
this season compared to
Would you
last
put?
I think
I'll let you
Mafia is
say it.
I think Mafia is a borderline bottom team in the playoffs.
No way.
He has the
Curious
weather.
as to-
He has
I
the
think
weather
I-
gauntlet into Temp's team, which are not easy matchups.
That is rough.
I think I know who you would put 5 then, but why don't you just say it then?
It's gonna be Moth Gang.
Really?
I think Moth
You
Gang's
think
a
Moth
bottom-
Gang?
I think Moth
I
Gang's
think
a
Moth
seven.
Gang will make playoffs.
I think
but
Moth Gang
5
makes the
seed
run.
Is high.
I don't think Whoops. I think Whoops gonna go on a
No.
slump.
5 is like they almost win out,
I
right?
think Whoops gonna go on a
see-
slump. That's
okay,
my
wait.
prediction.
But let's see Moth Gang.
It's either Moth Gang or Sky
They
Pillar.
still
He
week
is
4.
Nathan.
They still week 4, so that's a win. In my opinion.
He plays Nathan. He plays
Week 5 that's
Cards.
probably a win.
That's a hard matchup. He plays
That's
David.
that's a very hard matchup.
I think he drops.
David-
I think he drops 1, maybe 2 games.
I feel like 5 might be fair then.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the schedule.
I can see 5 or 6 for him. I think him and Sky Pillar are very interchangeable there.
Okay, I'm with that then.
And it kind of spoils who I think is dropping out of playoffs then. But I think
Because
Whoop and Triple are dropping.
you mentioned Jamaarkques' schedule as well. That is a tough schedule.
It
Can't
is.
lie.
It
Yeah, I
is.
can see myself getting 7-8 easily, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I look at my schedule.
Okay. So we'll put Moth Gang at 5. And then we're putting Skypillar at 6.
Yeah, and then Pallets.
Well,
I think
Well,
Pallet could
wait,
be
let's-
argued too.
let's look at Skypillar's schedule. So they got Holmesy's team in Triple Tactics Typhlosion in week
Into
5, which I think that's a win for
That's a-
Temple.
Tested matchup.
into 5 trick rooms,
Yeah.
into Kindo, into Jamark. So I think he can split that. I think he's gonna go 3-1 realistically, which
I would
means
agree.
he's gonna knock down Whoop and Triple Tactics, and maybe lose to
Yeah.
Jamark. So I think the 5, 6, 7 are very interchangeable.
Alright.
But I think it's Moth, Pallet, and Sky Pillar.
I would agree with that.
So yeah, I think that's a fair. I slightly disagree with the order, but that is probably the teams I would put in there.
Actually,
okay.
yeah, I'd probably put, because of the schedule, can't talk. Strength of schedule, I would actually probably bump Pallet down to 7 and then put Sky Pillar at 6 is what I would do.
Yeah, I can see myself ending 4-4 here. Like, I could easily happen with the roster.
Mhm.
Yeah. Getting that 8th seed.
It's
I'm a triple tactics Typhlosion believer, but I think it's hard to not lock Wiggle Whoop in given the
Yeah,
3-1
he's
start.
3-1. You have to, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
So
hard to
who's
see a
Whoop
world
playing?
where he doesn't make
Whoop
playoffs.
plays Weather into
Does he have any matchup?
he plays Weather into
He has
Nathan. Has 1 win
and then
Maybe.
Temple.
in Temple,
That's
and then
a testing
and then
matchup.
Megaverse. So he has a pretty he has a good schedule.
Maybe-
I think.
I think maybe we put Whoop over Pallet Town.
I think he can
to be
go.
honest.
I think he can go 1-3. He can end 4-4. It's very realistic. It depends on the game differential at that point.
So one, he has a massive lead. Okay, massive.
Okay, his lead's not that massive. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's why. So
We're
yeah,
both
that's
at +1 currently, even though he's up a game.
yeah, but yeah. So he has a lead, and then he has the easier schedule. So just by logic, I would say that it's more likely for him to end up over Pallet Town. So that's why I probably put 7
You know,
That's
on Whoop.
fair.
Here's
I
my
suppose.
line. Here's my line. If I can beat you this week, Jamark, I think I win out and win with make it an 8 with differential because I play David, I play Nathan, and I play Lexus. I think I
Sure,
can do it.
That's a fair.
This
that's a
matchup
fair
is the
point.
most important one I have
It's
right
a
now.
hard ask though.
It is,
Uh,
but
I think, though, if I win out against you, I have a good chance of getting
I think you
6 or
could.
5.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're
Yeah.
pretty much up there, and I have to
Fair.
play for differential and 2-0 everything to even have a chance, right? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, this last playoff spot, last 2 playoff spots really are pretty contested. So curious to see how that ends up as the season rolls out. I believe that just about wraps up everything we want to talk about. No,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
video's
Got it.
been dragging on for
An hour and 10 minutes and
an
31
hour and
seconds.
10 yeah. Wow. So, yeah, it seems like a pretty solid place to wrap it up. Any closing thoughts as we finish up this mid-season wrap up?
Shout out Boss Merrill. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
Let the sun shine down on me, baby.
all I'm saying is
that-
Golden Go is not making playoffs for once in our league history.
Wow, thank God. The sun can rest.
The sun can rest.
That should wrap it up, and see you in the second half of the season.
Thanks for
to
listening.
Another good season of Pokemon.
Oh yeah.